Cacnea, the cactus Pokemon, and Cacturn, the scarecrow Pokemon. Welcome everyone, I'm exceptional and I hope you are too. Today we will be exploring a solo run of Pokemon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, using only my starter. Further details are in the description, but my general rules are, I can only use my starter in battle, no items in trainer battles except held items, no glitches, exploits, or RNG manipulations, and accuracy moves are totally lame, but I'm going to be attempting something different in this run involving accuracy. But more on that later. We have had some great playthroughs with glass cannons lately, and Cacnea is no exception. We have outstanding offensive stats at 85 in attack and special attack as a first stage Pokemon, but that does come with a drawback. Defensively, we're not very impressive, but our worst stat is speed at only 35. The glass cannons that I've run with so far have had an advantage of being faster, or at least adequately fast, so let's see how a slower Pokemon fares. For the early game, we're a little restricted in our move choice, only having access to Poison Sting, a base 15 power poison move, and Absorb, a base 20 power grass move. Not really great options for the early game, but Absorb means that Brock at least should be a cakewalk. That is, if we can even make it to Brock. As a grass type, we're weak to poison moves. Against, for instance, Weedle, who Viridian Forest is littered with, including a mandatory trainer barring Pewter City, we find ourselves taking super effective damage and dealing half damage due to resistance. We actually take our first reset against Bugcatcher Sammy and his level 9 Weedle. Getting poisoned turn 1 on top of everything else will do that. But we aren't deterred. A little more luck on the next battle, and we find ourselves at Brock's door. I decide to defeat Camper Liam for some easy experience before taking on Brock himself. Brock is, as anticipated, quite an easy battle for our little creeper. I mean, come on, tell me that you don't see the resemblance here. Geodude is way less threatening than Onix, so I use our setup move Growth, which we learned at level 9 to get way more than the edge that we need here. Onix outspeeds, hitting a tackle for owie 5 whole damage as we Oko, or one-hit knockout Onix, regaining our lost health with Absorb. Piece of cake. Now that we're officially starting the run, that's correct, no run start until after Brock because that's when you unlock my favorite button, the Run button. I continue through Route 3 defeating only the mandatory trainers. This will come back to bite me soon. Fun fact, did you know that defeating Last Sally then going back to Pewter quickly to reset her position on the map is faster than facing Bugcatcher Greg? I mean, most of the time anyway. Definitely with a Cacnea. I continue along grabbing the Person Berry by the Poké Center before heading into Mount Moon. The only excitement within is grabbing the Helix fossil because I'm lazy and have no definitive position on which I like more. After we exit, I teach Cacnea Mega Punch from the tutor just outside the cave exit. Finally, a move with more power than 20. I head straight to Misty's gym to defeat the 2 optional trainers. I equip my Person Berry, and let's see how this goes. Against her lead Staryu, I set up a Leech Seed for some healing and then set up 2 growths. Staryu seems to be more interested in setting up its own defense with Harden, so Creeper takes it down at +2 with just over 80% health. Starmie is much stronger, outspeeding and hitting with Swift, taking us to around half health. Creeper's Absorb brings Starmie into red bar though, healing us to almost full again. Sweet. It seems that Misty has accepted her fate and she doesn't bother healing a second time, and we take out Starmie. Alright, that was a pretty easy first and second badge. Let's take on Rival 2, who is now gating our progression. A big disadvantage to using Mega Punch is that it only has 85% accuracy, so when Pidgeotto uses only 1 sand attack, our chances of success fall dramatically. The good news is that Mega Punch is doing well over half. With Pidgeotto down, we're already pretty beat up going into Charmander. We're well outside of Oko range and Charmander's Ember is doing around 1/3 to us. Bad news bears, we take another reset. Over and over, I wipe to you. So let's go grinding. Unfortunately, due to some one-way ledges that have perplexed me since I was a much smaller egg, we have no option to backtrack. We have to grind wild battles. I'll just skip to the juicy part because we're in that grass for a while. Like 8 minutes including 3 more attempts at level 23. Now at level 25, I'm getting really tired of grinding and hope that this works. Pidgeotto was always tough, but it's always the Charmander that got us. At level 25, we're finally able to Oko Charmander. Abra is free, and Rattata does some chip damage that we heal right back from using Absorb. Wowza. Based on how this battle went, you wouldn't think that this was an absolute wall for the last 10 minutes. I continue along Nugget Bridge and Route 25, making sure to pull down Camper Flint so that we can obtain TM43's secret power. It has less power than Mega Punch, but has two benefits. One, it has 100% accuracy, and two, it has a 30% chance for a secondary effect based on terrain. Most of the time in this run, that's a 30% chance to paralyze. Our next roadblock is Rival 3 on the SS Anne. Secret Power didn't last long on my moveset, as at level 29 we learned Feint Attack, a 60 base power dark move that we'll never miss. Against Pidgeotto I set up 2 growths, not caring about how many sand attacks we take because of Feint Attack. Charmeleon is doing over half with a single Ember, which is why I took the time to set up against Pidgeotto. We wouldn't have survived 2 rounds against it, so instead I aimed for the one-shot. Raticate and Kadabra are both Okos, but take a moment to appreciate this. A level 18 Kadabra is outspeeding us at level 30. Our lack of speed is going to be a recurring issue throughout this run. With a Cherry Berry equipped for safety, it's time to engage Lieutenant Surge. The grass typing is so weird in the Gen 1 remakes. There aren't a ton of options for great grass moves, so we're given a type advantage against the first 2 leaders and a type resistance against the third? Anyway, against Voltorb, I set up a couple of growths and then go to take it out with Absorb, healing us to nearly full after Surge heals Voltorb. Growth and Absorb is such a potent early game combo. Pikachu falls in one, topping off our health. The double team spamming Raichu is no problem for us as Feint Attack can't miss and takes it down in 2. Another easy badge for Creeper. We continue along making our way to Rock Tunnel and the mid-game, but get held up by Picnicker Alicia. Or as she's more infamously known from Gen 1, the Rapping Lass. I'm not very interested in the battle itself, but more so what happens at the end of it. We're about to evolve, which will give us a massive stat boost across the board, bringing us from a base stat total of 335 to 475. Evolutions are a seriously huge part of what makes Pokemon games so fun and so engaging. Now that the game has opened up a fair amount, I'd like to discuss my thought process going into this run. I saw 2 things initially. We can learn Growth via level up and Swords Dance from the Move Tutor. Unfortunately, the Swords Dance Tutor is on Island 7 and we need to clear the Elite Four round 1 before we can access it. The debate on whether to switch to Swords Dance for round 2 led me to a lot of confusion and a pretty directionless mid-game. Usually at this point it's clear whether I want to focus on attack or special attack EVs, but with Creeper I kept flip-flopping on what I wanted. I mean, speed is the most important, obviously, but I kept changing my plan in my head, so things here were not optimal. I'm instead just focusing on progression, so I start Erica's gym. I must have been favoring special attack at this point because I'm clearing the right side of her gym for special attack EVs from the Oddish and Bulbasaur lines. I also make sure to equip a Cherry Berry as her lead Victory Bell loves using Stun Spore. Erica herself is a pretty straightforward battle for Creeper. We are the Grass type too, but because of how in Gen 1 Grass was pretty much synonymous with Poison, she can hit us for super effective damage. Because of this, I capitalize on a turn 1 miss from Victory Bell, allowing me to set up to +2. Because of our setup, her Ace Vileplume and easily forgotten Tangela are both one-shots. Despite a rocky time in Cerulean City, Creeper has been really picking up the slack, especially since evolving. Next we find ourselves in the Rocket plotline. I usually grab the black glasses for some Pokédollars, but for Creeper it serves to boost the damage of our Dark-type moves by 10%. Yes, only 10%, it was changed to 20 in Generation 4. I clear out the hideout and find myself in Pokemon Tower facing down Rival 4. Here we can really see that base 115 special attack shine. He's no issue without any setup. With the power of hindsight, I should have cleared more trainers in here for special attack, but I had flipped back to gaining attack EVs, I guess? That's even why Creeper's nature is indeterminate, as we're running a neutral nature, Quirky. I progressed through the tower, rescuing a man that apparently didn't need rescuing despite the 3 rockets I had to clear to get to him. Creeper then smashes through the required trainers in Silphco as we gather all of the high-value items and vitamins. While we're here, we might as well take a shot at Rival 5. I set up to +2 with Growth, while Pidgeot is firing back some chunky wing attacks, taking us down to 26 health. I can now OHKO it with Feint Attack, but we might be in trouble. Especially if Charizard outspeeds hitting a flamethrower that I'm confident would have almost taken us out from full, let alone from less than 20%. I wipe again before cutting out and deciding to go to Fuchsia City. Watch this everyone, you'll be so proud of me. I walk right by the substitute tutor because I'm trying to do something different. Since Rival 5 was a bit too speedy for us, I decided that I should take on Koga's gym. I always laugh at the first juggler in here, Caden. He's always talking about strategy being the road to victory as he has the strongest Pokemon in this gym outside of the leaders team. Who am I to judge you? You live your best life, my dude. I equip a Pecha Berry before taking on Koga for safety. Well, on second thought, who needs safety? Let's put the black glasses back on. They're cooler anyway. Despite having a type weakness here, I'm not very worried about Koga's team. Against his lead Coughing, I set up to +2 with Growth while it lowers my accuracy with Smokescreen, followed by doing some damage with Sludge. Not really a big threat. Against Muck, I end up putting Koga into a healing loop, so when he goes for the heal again, I use the opportunity to set up one more Growth, bringing us to +3. Feint Attack now gets the Oko. I defeat Coughing and say no thank you to Cotton Spore as we level up to 47. His Ace Wheezing is last, we outspeed, and Oko. I wiped again to Rival 5, so I decided to do a little grinding around Sylph, bringing Creeper to level 48 over the next damage rounding threshold. But damage isn't really our problem right now, outspeeding Charizard is. I set up to +3 now against Pidgeot, while it brings us down to only 20 health with 3 wing attacks. Charizard is out and we outspeed! Because of our setup, we now Oko his remaining team members. Level 48 solved our speed problem. Noted. I finished the last of the Rocket plotline before coming to Sabrina's gym, again not clearing any additional trainers. Against her lead Kadabra, I set a Leech Seed up on turn 1 because reasons? I then set up 2 Growths before taking it out. Being a Dark type in a Generation 1 remake can sure be fun sometimes, as we take out her remaining Pokemon with only her Ace Alakazam outspeeding and trying to get some setup in of his own. Too little too late. Next is Blaine. Blaine is a problem. His lead Growlithe is doing 100 of our 150 max health with a single Fire Blast, so after I set up a single Growth, there's not really much else I can try to do, so let's see if we can do this at +1. Growlithe and Ponyta both fall, but once Rapidash hits the field, we're in trouble. I'm glad to see that we're outspeeding, but end up leaving it with a sliver, allowing it to knock us out. If Rapidash survived, Arcanine will 100% survive. I do some grinding in Blaine's gym and the water around Cinnabar, coming back into the battle at level 53 over the next damage rounding threshold. In this attempt, I decided to play for the Fire Blast miss as it only has 70% accuracy. Not this time. Or this time. But hey, I got to see what Arcanine looks like. I did some more grinding, bringing us up to level 55. Ponyta has less special attack than Growlithe, so I take it out immediately to try to set up against Ponyta. I want to take a minute to finally explain what I meant earlier when I said I was trying new things. Creeper's ability is Sand Veil, which gives us immunity to sandstorm damage as well as increasing our evasiveness by 20% while one is active. I was hoping that this could tilt the scales in our favor, but Ponyta fries us again. In my next attempt, I now know that we can survive 2 Fire Blasts from Ponyta. I set up a Sandstorm and use Growth once while Ponyta turns up the heat, taking Creeper down to only 11 hit points. With all of the setup we can muster accomplished, I go for it. With Sandstorm adding a little chip damage, I can now sweep through Blaine's remaining Rapidash and Ace Arcanine. The Rivals Charizard kinda has me trembling in my socks a little, so I clear every trainer in the 8th gym before taking on Giovanni. He's a fairly easy fight for us despite taking some speed loss from his Rhyhorn's Rock Tombs. We take some damage because of being so slow, but take out his whole team without issue. Keep an eye on that timer though. Yep, that's another 10 minutes lost to a rival battle. I'm sure you don't need to watch me reset over and over, but now we're coming into the fight at level 65. I set up a Sandstorm and 2 Growths while Pidgeot goes full offense, thankfully missing once because of our Veil of Sand. I finish it off with Giga Drain, bringing us back to around 80% health. Finally, at level 65, we're outspeeding and can take out Charizard. Just like Rival 2, based on how this fight went, you'd probably doubt that it was nearly impossible before this level. Absolute insanity. Welcome to the Round 1 Elite Four. Lorelei starts us off as an interesting juxtaposition. As a grass type, we're weak to her ice moves, but as 80% of her icy team is also the water type, we can hit her for super effective damage. We're quite over-leveled because of Rival 6, so despite taking half of our health and being frozen turn 1, a single unboosted Giga Drain takes out her lead. Thanks to Giga Drain's healing, we're back to nearly full, so I try setting up a growth against Slowbro as she fires another Ice Beam, bringing us back to around half. Despite Slowbro's bulk, we get the Oko. Jinx is her only non-water type, but with a super effective Dark type feint attack, she falls to 1, and then with our setup, we can take out Lapras and finally Cloyster. A good start. Bruno poses an interesting matchup for Creeper. As the fighting type league member, he does have a type advantage against us, but we have the advantage of him leading with an Onix. I suspect that once again this is going to turn into a speed problem. I set up to +2 special attack, but I'm -2 speed due to Rock Tomb. Because of our evasiveness in the Sandstorm and Sky Uppercut only having a base 90% accuracy, Hitmonchan misses while we take him out with Giga Drain, recovering to full health. Hitmonlee hits a nasty Brick Break for over half, but we get the Oko with Giga, putting us back to 157 health. I predicted that Machamp would likely knock us out from this range with Cross Chop. To my surprise, he doesn't, leaving Creeper at only 15 HP while we Giga Drain and don't get the one-shot. Oh no. One more Cross Chop finishes us off. In the next battle, we take one more turn of setup against Onix, and he misses one additional Rock Tomb due to Sandstorm. Hitmonchan misses again, Hitmonlee doesn't. With our extra setup, Machamp gets O-Code, and his second Onix easily falls. Against Agatha, I have one thing to say. We're a Dark type. I set up to +2 with a Sandstorm, while Gengar sets up double teams and misses Confuse Ray. Feint Attack gets the Oko. Her Ace Gengar is next hitting a big Sludge Bomb, but it doesn't even take us to half, while we take it and the rest of her team out. The Agatha threat is pretty effectively nullified by our typing alone, and being able to set up against her lead pretty much guarantees it. The recovery that Giga Drain affords us makes Lance a walk in the park. I set up a Sandstorm, then all the way to +5, then re-establish the Storm before taking out Gyarados. With the healing from Giga Drain, we're set up in a Storm and comfortably in Green Bar. Aerodactyl then demonstrates why we needed that recovery with a stab wing attack, taking us right back to Red Bar, but from there we outspeed and Oko his Ace Dragonite and the 2 Dragonaires in the back. Oh boy, it's time to deal with Champ's Charizard. Against his Pidgeot, I set up to +3 while taking a few hits, bringing Creeper down to a little under a third health. We did get tagged by a couple sand attacks, but as long as we outspeed, we should be okay. And it looks like we don't outspeed. Brilliant! I wonder what the magic number is going to be. At level 69, nice, Creeper's speed displays at 124, plus the Thunder Badge boost brings us to 136, well away from the 150 of Charizard and the 159 of Alakazam, but Zam doesn't really count today. At level 75, we're up to 134 or 147 with the boost. Yuck. I use my last 2 rare candies, bringing Creeper to level 77. 138 equals 151 boosted. Let's do this. This time against Pidgeot, Creeper takes some big hits, so after setting up to +2, I'm desperately trying to recover some health against Pidgeot. It's resisted, sure, but we're still doing well over half, giving us some health back. Then suddenly, he switches into his Charizard. Quad-resisted Giga does very little here, but on the next round I click Feint Attack, we outspeed, and down goes Charizard. Pidgeot is back out, but we're in good shape now, so I can clean it up as well as his remaining team members. With the healing from Giga Drain, we're actually back to full health at one point, which follows the same rival theme for this whole run. A dominant victory, but only after surpassing that nasty speed cap. I guess this is the power of a slower glass cannon. And I have to admit something. I'm sick of Sandstorm already. We all know that Substrat's best strats, so round 2 we'll be bringing that back. Creeper clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 4 seconds at level 77 with 28 resets. This took 6 hours and 13 minutes of game time. I want to quickly highlight why I'm going back to Substitute instead of relying on Sandstorm. This Rocket Admin battle results in a reset. Imagine, if you will, if Golbat hadn't confused me turn 1 and that the poison set is never landed because he would have hit the sub instead. Substitute adds so much reliability to runs. For the sake of brevity, I'll skip ahead another few minutes on the clock. I've already been to the Round 2 League, wiped a few times, and that's when I finally gave up on Sandstorm, coming back to Fuchsia City to teach Substitute. With our moveset updated, let's see how the real Round 2 League attempt goes. Round 2 Lorelei goes much the same as Round 1. I set up 2 growths while Dugong sets up and hits an Ice Beam for around half our health. I switch immediately to Giga Drain, getting the Oko and healing to nearly full. Cloyster isn't very threatening to us, so I use the opportunity to set up one final growth before going for the sweep. Piloswine and Jinx both fall to Feint Attack, and one last Giga Drain takes care of Lapras. Bruno is the reason that I left to go get Substitute. Creeper simply couldn't afford to lose speed against Steelix, as taking a hit from Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Machamp was way more than Creeper could handle, even with the recovery from leftovers and Giga Drain. This battle perfectly demonstrates the power of Substitute. It went from extremely difficult to impossible to allowing Steelix to get 3 critical hits across 9 turns, with Creeper taking him out and at +4 and around 3/4 health, and our speed is fully intact. Because of that setup, we outspeed and Oko Hitmonchan, Machamp, Hitmonlee, and finally his second Steelix. What a difference. Agatha's lead Gengar has 170 speed, and right now Creeper is at 162 including the badge boost, so we get put to sleep. Ugh, our speed. While we snooze, it confuses us and begins hitting with a barrage of Shadow Balls, which are barely doing more than our recovery from leftovers. It takes a minute, but Creeper doesn't feel threatened once as we set up to +4 and take it down. Hidden behind a sub, we avoid the Ace Gengar Sludge Bomb. Based on the last league, that probably would have hit us for around half. This is important. Arbok is out and we could have elected to resub, but I felt confident enough to just take it out. Her incredibly fast Crobat comes out, also outspeeding, and hits a massive Sludge Bomb for over half and poisons us. Woof, I'm sure glad that that decoy blocked Gengar's damage. We take it out and the following Mischievous, but I can almost guarantee that if Gengar had hit, we would have wiped here. Round 2 Lance has one of the most powerful teams in the entire franchise, and Substitute destroys him. His lead Gyarados is dead set on using Thunder Wave, falling harmlessly against our decoy. He switches to Earthquake at one point, but we resist it, so our sub remains. I set up to +5 before taking it out. We outspeed and Oko his Kingdra, Ace Dragonite, and second Dragonite. Aerodactyl is a speed demon but only breaks our sub with Aerial Ace, which by the way would have bypassed accuracy checks, nullifying any benefit from Sandstorm. Sub strats, best strats. It's time for the Round 2 champion, and oh boy, we are in big trouble here. Forget about the Charizard. Our only offensive options are Grass and Dark-type moves, both of which are resisted by his lead Heracross. On top of that, Heracross loves using Stab Megahorn with a base attack of 125, which is also 4 times effective against Creeper. How in the world are we going to handle this? I attempt to see if I can get a little more luck with Megahorn missing. It does once, so I take the chance to see how much Giga Drain is doing. A laughable amount, maybe a 6th? My mind was whirling away here trying to solve this one. Then it dawned on me. I swung by the power plant earlier for some PP restoring items, and a TM that I'm sure glad to have on me right now. After defeating the champion, I'm not going to play this file again, so why keep Giga Drain when I can use the power of Protect? That's right, our defensively weak Glass Scarecrow is going for some good old-fashioned stall tactics. Check this out. I can alternate between Substitute and Protect, each turn recovering from leftovers as I stall out all 10 power points of Megahorn. His other moves are Earthquake, which we resist, Rock Tomb, which our sub can tank 1 of, and Counter, which is completely useless against a special attacker. Without Giga Drain, we lose a big heal, but with Protect I can continue to stall, gaining HP from leftovers and setting up as much as I can. I only managed to get to +3, but we do take it out with just over 100 health. From there, we can't one-shot Tyranitar, but neither can it, so we move on to Charizard. I don't know its exact speed, but I'm gonna say 178, which we apparently have more than as we move first for the Oko. Booyah! His remaining Gyarados, Alakazam, and Executor are all one-shots as Creeper claims his victory over the Round 2 champion. Way to go, Creeper. I now have an okay understanding of what strategies I'd like to use for key battles. I also know that we will now be special attack focused. Time to test and see just how far I can get this time down. Creeper clocks in with a round 2 time of 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 10 seconds at level 85 with 35 resets. This took 7 hours and 35 minutes of game time. Let's make that 7 hours and 53 minutes of game time. I'm still catching up on some sleep. For our first change, I've switched our nature from quirky to timid, increasing speed and decreasing attack. This may prove to make Rival 2 and 3 a bit more challenging, but it's a risk I'm willing to take for a better late game. Check out that rival battle in the lab, eh? Is it better to be smart or lucky? My pre-Brock plan is only slightly altered. I'm defeating 2 bug catchers in Viridian Forest, Anthony and Charlie, because they don't have Weedles. I also take out a few wild battles along the way as I encounter them. Yes, I am encountering Pokemon in these supercuts, I just edit them out. I'm not that lucky. I defeat Camper Liam and then take on Brock. Just like last time, he's super easy. I set up some growths, then absorb Okos, both his Geodude and Onix. I continue along clearing a few extra trainers through Route 3 and Mount Moon. I find myself quickly back in Misty's gym where I defeat both trainers before taking her on. Yes, I am saving a lot before fights. I do it in front of any fight that I think could potentially knock us out. That's a lot of them. Misty is also very similar to last run, except this time I set up to +4 with growth before taking down Staryu. Halfway through, its Water Pulse confused us, so thank you, Persimberry. As a result of our additional setup this time, Starmie is an Oko. Alright, Rival 2 gave us some big problems last run. I discovered that he was doable at level 23, but wasn't that consistent. Leveling up to 24 with 3 wild battles, though, gave me the edge that I needed to be more consistent. A crit against Charmander likely mattered, but the thing that made this fight so much better than last time is that we outsped Pidgeotto. I'm coming into Rival 3 at a slightly lower level than last time because we did less grinding. Back on Route 6, I picked up the Citrus Berry opposite the hidden rare candy, equipping it for this fight. Doing this gives us an additional 30 hit points to work with. Charmeleon's Ember just happens to be doing around 30 HP, so this gives us 1 extra hit against it, allowing us to take it out and his last 2 members. I then defeat Lieutenant Surge, Erica, the Rocket Hideout, and Rival 4 at Pokemon Tower, not having changed anything from last run. This time though, I do take the time to clear out all of the trainers in the tower for the special attack EVs. Next is Sylph, where we once again collect all of the high value items and vitamins. The plan is to max our speed, then special attack, then defense, and finally special defense using every bit of cash we have. I won't be doing Rival 5 until later, so after I collect everything of value, we head to Fuchsia City. Koga is just as easy as last time. This time though, I set up once more against coughing. I've just decided it's smart. I'd rather be smart than lucky. Next we face Rival 5 back in Sylph, another problem spot last run. This time with some prescient knowledge, I know that I can survive 3 wing attacks, so I get my setup in. I tried going for Giga Drain to recover and Pidgeot survives with a sliver. Not a worry though, as we take it out on the next turn, followed by Charizard, Exeggcute, Gyarados fills us back up again, and finally Alakazam. Much easier when you come in with a plan. I finish the Rockets, and then defeat Sabrina, after clearing out every trainer in her gym for the special attack EVs. We're about to do a bunch of additional grinding that we have to do anyway at some point, so it might as well be before Blaine. Oh, wait! First we have to explore my flub of the day. I cleared out all of the trainers in Blaine's gym before going back to other places like Cycling Road. Unfortunately, I autopiloted a little and went straight into the Blaine fight, without healing. Whoops. Guess that's our first reset. Muppet. Alright, I finish my grinding, and this is what Blaine should look like. I take out Growlithe Media, then set up 2 growths, while Ponyta misses 2 Fire Blasts. Why do I even just... Anyway, we're +2, and we're able to one-shot both his Rapidash and Arcanine. I then defeat Giovanni, and that brings us back to Rival 6 after completing the last of my grinding. We're now level 63, which was inadequate last time, but because of our speedy nature, I can now get my 3 growths in and sweep through his whole team. Alright, we know the drill here. Most of this first league is the same as last time. I set up one growth and take out Dugong, and then I set up 2 additional growths and take out Slowbro, with Giga Drain healing us up both times. Now Jinx, Lapras, and Cloyster, after some stalling, all fall. Bruno with a substitute is so much easier. Against his lead Onix, I set up my decoys as needed, setting up to +3 with growths before taking it down. Then Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, Machamp, and his final Onix all fall. Agatha is also much more consistent with Substitute. I set up to +2 against her, taking no ill effects, and then sweepy swept. Lance behaves a little bit worse than our last run. Gyarados just wants to sit there spamming Dragon Rage all day, so I only managed to get to +3 before having to take it down, recovering with Giga Drain. Aerodactyl, of course, outspeeds and takes a chunk out of us, but falls to another Giga Drain, restoring most of our lost health. His Ace Dragonite is next, and oh wow, +3 wasn't enough. He does some big damage to us with Wing Attack, but because we're outspeeding despite the heal he gets, we do take him down. The final 2 Dragonairs are, of course, both Okos. I used 6 rare candies, bringing our level to 73, but more importantly, our speed to 151, 1 above Charizard. It don't matter if you outspeed by 1 or 100. More speed is more speed. I set up to +3 against Pidgeot before taking it out. We outspeed an Oko Charizard, followed by Alakazam. So, we have 2 flubs in this run actually. I go for Giga Drain against Rhydon. Why? We miss and take a reset. Oh, hey, look, it's like it never happened. Where was I? Ah, yes, Rhydon falls along with Exeggutor and finally his Gyarados, marking the end of the Round 1 League. So silly. I know what I was thinking. I was trying to recover some health for free, but at -2 accuracy from Sand Attack, I should have known better. Frustrating. Cacturn clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, 37 seconds at level 73 with 2 resets. This took 5 hours and 35 minutes of game time. Round 2 Lorelei actually goes easier than round 1. This is entirely because Dugong wants to have a setup war, not realizing that I have a move that doesn't miss. Na 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 na. With +3 from growth, we then Oko her Cloyster, Piloswine, Jinx, and Ace Lapras. Against Bruno, we dance with his Steelix while it tries to hit Rock Tombs and Iron Tails, while we're setting up decoys and growing to +3 special attack. Hitmonchan falls and Machamp is out. We get a very unfavorable range here against Machamp, and it survives with a sliver. I switch to Feint Attack to conserve Giga Drain PP, but then get a crit knocking it out. Told you that range was bad. But now we Oko is Hitmonlee and final Steelix. Later, Tater. So I used 2 rare candies before coming into the round 2 league so that we'd hit level 80 right before Agatha. This allows us to outspeed her Gengar, and that removes most probability of inconsistency here. I set up to +3 and take out her lead. Her Ace Gengar breaks our decoy just like last time as we Oko. I try in vain to get a sub back up against Arbok, but elect to just go for it and chance what Crobat will do. Unfortunately, it confuses us. Come on, don't do this to me, Crobat. 50-50 shot, and we hit through. Bye, Crobat. Misdreavus is an easy cleanup. So this was a bit unintentional, but it seems like round 2 Lance is rapidly becoming my joke time, as Substitute absolutely owns him. What did the egg in a tight spot say? I might whisk it and run! What a funny yoke. I use 2 more rare candies and teach TM17 Protect that I picked up earlier from the power plant between rounds 1 and 2. Settle in for some stalling as we do the same strat as last time, swapping between Substitute and Protect, slowly whittling down his Megahorn PP and healing with leftovers. Unfortunately, Heracross doesn't miss a single Megahorn, so I only managed to set up to +3 before having to take it out. Because we simply took too much damage against his lead though, Tyranitar is able to Aerial Ace us out of there. I used 1 last rare candy because I had it, and attempted again, this time with Heracross missing 2 Megahorns and allowing us to set up all the way to +6 with green health. We still can't one-shot it, but that's fine. Because our decoy was still up against Tyranitar, we take no damage as we take down the Gen 2 pseudo-legendary. We then outspeed and OHKO Charizard, Gyarados, Alakazam, who still outspeeds us, and finally Exeggutor, completing the Round 2 League. That was a ton of fun. I loved being able to use Protect like that. I'm feeling like I use a lot of substitute and setup moves in my runs, but there's always these little tweaks that I love finding to optimize our completion time and level. Cacturn clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 32 seconds at level 84 with only 3 resets. This took 6 hours and 56 minutes of game time. So let's investigate how much time we ended up saving. The Brock split remained pretty close to the same, but because of our additional grinding before getting to Cerulean City, we actually defeat Misty 4.5 minutes later. But we more than make up for it, defeating Rival 2 7 minutes faster. From there, we had some fluctuations in time as I did different grinding throughout the mid-game, but by the time we're done the gym challenge, we're 9 minutes and 19 seconds ahead of last run, but have a much better foundation laid for both leagues. In round 1, we saved 22 minutes and 27 seconds, but then in round 2, our total time save is 29 minutes and 38 seconds with 32 less resets, 1 level lower, and saving nearly an hour of game time. Outstanding performance by Cacturn. On the tier list, Cacturn finds itself placed before Houndoom in the B tier. As I gather more data and complete more runs, I'm so excited to keep filling in this graphic. I love it. I think I need a change of pace from glass cannons next week though. I'm definitely thinking something bulkier. Here's a hint. I beckon you to list your guesses in the comments. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. I've really been enjoying using the Gen 3 Pokemon in FireRed. It makes for some interesting challenges. This week my channel crested 100 subscribers, so I have to take a moment to appreciate and thank all of you out there for your support. I have been loving making this content and have so many plans for the future. If you feel like I've earned it, please consider leaving a like, commenting about the runs, or just say hi. Good day! As always, substrats best strats, so if you'd like to keep up with my future releases, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, take care everyone.